it, but it's just, but you're right. People expect, I think people are conditioned to have a $200 million movie. I mean, gone are the days where remember back in the 90s, late 90s, where we would get like Deep Blue Sea and Anaconda and Deep Rising. And those are giant budget movies compared to this as well. But we just don't get these anymore. And and I think you're right too by the tone. This is a traditional pulpy. And when we say pulp, I guess what we're talking about is what's a better way to explain pulp?
I mean, it's a plot driven action story. Like, this isn't a character study. It's meant to entertain. It's a purely entertainment value piece of content.
Yeah, and it succeeds.
Yeah, it's over the top. It's not trying to be realistic in any way. I love the idea of gremlins and them exploring that more in the World War II context and sort of their origins. I also love that you focus on a, what is her title in the movie? Flight officer. She was a WASP from America, and this was a real force of women who are out there flying non-combat planes during the war. And when do you see that story, much less in an action movie? Give me more of this.
Yeah. One of the things that I kept thinking about, it was how this movie compared to Overlord. I believe that came out in 2017 or 2018. And how I generally enjoyed Overlord, but it was so serious that it missed its own premise. And this movie is like, yeah, there's gremlins, and we're going to wink at it. And in that movie, they didn't do any wink.
No, yeah. I think we felt that, too. Yeah. I was hoping for a cheeky Wyatt Russell in that movie. I was hoping for more cheekiness.
Especially towards the end of that movie, it's very serious. Yeah, when it should be a little bit more comedic, considering how crazy it is.
And a lot of the people on the plane, they are all playing various variations of. Roseanne said this. She didn't want the movie. She knows now that so many people get triggered and there's so much latitude of rejection in this, but she wanted to have these men represent different types of obstacles for Maude. So it's interesting hearing all the different ways but they're obviously. People like this exist, but they wanted to play up some of these roles in almost a caricature type way. So you just have to accept that. This isn't. Man, people just get so mad. People are so mad about this movie. It annoys me.
Everything is heightened for sure. I mean, the characters are heightened, the scenarios are heightened, just the situation in general. The action is heightened.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is
a lot of action.
It's in the air. Oh gosh.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
There was a definitely moment while watching this when I was like, I was like, oh, this is like sort of serious, and then a moment happened. I was like, oh no, this thing's going all out. Like, and my brain just went from analyzing it in terms of, theme and seriousness to, oh, I'm just gonna enjoy this. Click.
Yeah.
And the audience will get to that. Like, if you're gonna watch this film, you'll know exactly when that happens.
And it's beautiful when it happens, and it's inspired, and it's funky, and it's fun. I like it, and I like the stakes that get added to it as well. Yeah, Maude goes through a lot in this film, and part of I don't want to spoil that, but man, there's some visuals that I'm gonna have a really hard time forgetting. And that's kind of nice because I forget about the majority of the movies I watch. And the supporting cast is excellent too. Like, they brought in some big names for some tiny roles in this. So I'll be interested to see how Roseanne was able to get so many big name people to be in this movie. Because, like, who did you have? You had Nick Robinson. He headlines his own movies. Then you had Taylor John Smith, that Sergeant Quaid. He was in The Outpost, which is one of our favorite 2020 movies.
Great.
And then that Callan Mulvey, John Reeves, the guy from Captain America Civil War. And they filled out this cast really well. Maybe people were, I don't know, I wonder how she did that, because it's a wonderful crew. Everyone adds something to it, I would say. Probably a better cast than they needed.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Considering that the cast is only on screen for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I was reading about her casting process, but it's neat how many people rallied around this movie.
Well, and like you said, she's the one who has to do all the things in the movie. So the fact that they're such a good cast and they don't have a lot to do, even though they're there. Yeah. She's the one doing it. So if you want to see a lady kicking some butt, doing all the things in a crazy gremlin movie, this is for you.
And Chloe brought her personal trainer with the stunt coordinator. She was doing pull-up contests against him. she was claustrophobic, so she had a really hard time shooting in that turret. Like, this is, and I tell you though, like, there's been so many like glory shots of like male action stars looking awesome. This one, when she's blowing up planes and yelling when she's shooting the guns, and then when she rips off her sleeve in a very Scott Adkins badass moment, and then just fights a gremlin, it's awesome. Like, it's so refreshing to me, and I dug it. It's when so in the trailer, this is in the trailer, but she's just unloading on the gremlin's face for what feels like 30 seconds. It's beautiful. I love a good gremlin fist fight.
That gremlin deserved it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did want to make a note about the synth heavy score. The score is, and I'm going to say the person who did it, and I might get the name wrong, but I'm going to at least try. And that's Mehua Bridgman Cooper. I absolutely love this score from the very opening, because like, you could imagine that a movie like this is going to be very stodgy, maybe brass heavy, string heavy, and it is just synth from moment one.
Mm-hmm.
And it has this like aesthetic that you're going, this is video game-esque. This is not your father's World War II movie. This is not Tom Hanks.
Mm-mm.
And I should have cued into this earlier, because I wasn't quite paying attention. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, is this going to be stodgy? But nope. The synth really, really cues everyone in that it is going to be a fun ride.
It's very cool, kind of 80s and poppy, and it's got a very, just got a cool vibe to the score.
Mm-hmm.
You know what would be a good doubleheader? The Guest and Shadow in the Cloud. I was going to say Cloud in the Sky. And Shadow in the Cloud. I would love, they're synth heavy, bonkers, weird, different.
Mm-hmm.
I would love that.
I was thinking this and the Gator movie we covered.
Crawl.
Yeah, this and Crawl, both 80 minutes of just action.
Crawl is beautiful.
Oh, Crawl.
Just do Crawl. Oh man, Crawl's so good. Crawl, and then just throw in the Guest, and then throw in Upgrade. Every person I've recommended Upgrade to has loved it. So just do all 4 of those. Don't leave your house for a day. What? What's up?
It's a better Venom.
Yeah, it's a better Venom. I want Logan Marshall Green, Kaya Scolodario from Crawl, Chloe Grace from this, and then Micah Monroe from The Guest teaming up to form an Expendables group.
And what era?
I don't know, time travel. Bill and Ted get them.
Okay, that sounds great.
And then they're just fighting mutated, flying, alligator androids.
Oh, maybe cyborgs or androids?
Cyborgs. Yeah, you're right. They got chips in them, but they're relatively human. Or gator.
Okay. Yeah,
My
let's
mind
get
just,
on this.
That explodes.
Sci-fi is going to pick this up for us.
And alligators have arms, not like the little arms. They have big old arms.
They have normal arms and then arms growing out their back.
Oh.
Whoa.
So they
With the wings.
Yeah.
And there's a fist fight where oh man, we need this movie. Oh my gosh. No, but I guess so we don't. I don't want to spoil anything else for anybody. We just wanted to do this really quick. But want to each do our favorite moment, non-spoiler moment from this movie to kind of pitch people to go watch it before we get into our final thoughts.
That's difficult. Difficult.
Yeah.
I can do a non-spoiler moment. Yeah, I think I can.
Okay, what's yours, David?
So I'm gonna call it my non-spoiler, just general thing I like, and I really like Chloe in this film. I think it would be very difficult for an actor or an actress to be the main focus for 40 minutes and pull it off, and she does it seamlessly. I love that she is like a budding Ripley from Aliens.
Just so cool.
Yeah, she really rocks a sweet bomber jacket in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite moment, I think, would be when she's firing at some enemy planes, and she just looks awesome doing it. She's yelling, and she looks cool doing it. It's not cheesy or over the top or just weird. She looks great.
I'm going to make the GIF and just play it over and over. That thing's cool. So for me, she front kicks a gremlin. I'm big into Dolph Lundgren front kicking people, and I'm big into Chloe throwing front kicks. And she's been in some really cool, like, she's been in some interesting films in her long career. I mean, Let Me In, she was excellent in. I mean, Kick-Ass, she's been murdering people for a long time.
Oh, I loved how, so we watched this with my parents, side note, and my dad is sitting there at the end. Of course, he's not seen Kick-Ass, and he goes, she'd be great in action movies. She's got an action future. And it's like, yes, Good call.
She's been crushing people for a decade now.
Yeah.
And so when people are like, yeah, Chloe, oh, it's unbelievable. Well, she was Hit Girl. And now she's the Hit Girl grown up in the past. Hit Woman. Hit Woman in the 40s.
Hit Dame.
Hit Dame.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess one thing too, if you a drinking game with anything, water, tea, alcohol, beer, but anytime you hear Dame or Broad, take a sip.
Yeah, it's a lot. That first 40 minutes, you're going to be drunk.
Yeah. Or highly caffeinated if you're doing coffee too. So just one of those. But since David, you wanted to call this together, what are your final thoughts about this movie? Or what do you got to say about it?
Yeah. So for me, this is actually a Saturday morning movie. It is a cartoon that you wake up, you get your coffee, you eat your sugary cereal, you watch this movie, and you just have a great time and start your day off right.
I love it. Meg, final thoughts?
Yeah, just go in and enjoy it. Get over yourself.
Yes, get over yourself, and don't let your preconceived notions wreck this experience. The trailer will make if you expect exactly what a trailer shows, you're going to be pretty confused for the first 30 minutes. But just roll with it. Like, get over yourself. Get ready for a 75-minute low budget movie, so Roseanne Liang, the writer, she loves Die Hard. She loves Mad Max Fury Road. She studied moments that are memorable in films. And so they thought long and hard about how can we make this action good? How can we make it memorable? And there are scenes that are burnt in my head, and I think she really succeeded. So just get over yourself, turn it on, enjoy it. Don't follow the crowd, the reactive crowd that's out there right now. I mean, I guess if you follow what I say, you're just as bad as following that group. Think for yourself. Just give it a chance. All right, it's different than you'd expect, and it's a wonderful experience. All right, David, you want to tell them about Award Wieners Movie Review Podcast before we get out of here?
Sure. I am the co-host of Award Wieners. It's a movie review podcast where my co-host and I are watching every Best Picture, and we're pairing it with a hot dog recipe. Next up is How Green Was My Valley, the movie that famously beat out Citizen Kane. That will be out probably next week.
Love it. And what would a hot dog be for this movie?
Oh, well, you'd have to do some type of gremlin dog. But I don't know what that would be. Like...
You would have to boil it because they don't do well with water.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I bet it's like it would have to be something related to World War II and rations, and probably just canned Vienna sausages on crackers and call it a hot dog.
Could you put a New Zealand twist on it because they take off from Auckland?
Yeah, you could. I just know very little about New Zealand.
Just Googling New Zealand hot dogs.
But until then, I'll have David, on a future episode, David will give us an update about New Zealand hot dogs. But just break a cracker in half, put a Vienna sausage in between it, or Spam, and just munch on it. And that's the recipe for Shadow in the Cloud, not Cloud in the Sky. It's, so, hey, well, thank you for joining me, Megan and David.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for David Cross and Megan Hoffmeyer, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.